Welcome to Rebel Without Applause, where we explore the intersection of sports, entertainment, and culture. I'm your host, Maurice Bob, and today we have a very special guest on the line. He is a former owner of AutoPay and the current EVP of ISO Relations at Bryte Payment Solutions. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm welcome to Mr. Eric Bostic.
Thank you. Glad to be here.
All right, sir. So, how you felt holding up in this COVID pandemic time?
Man,
the COVID
is real. The COVID is real. I've lost two family members to COVID. Wasn't able to attend their funerals, and haven't had a family get together, since before their passing. So, COVID is real, man. I'll just tell anybody it's real. The family members were healthy, got sick, and not even 3 days later, both of them passed. So I'm holding up good. I hope you and yours are holding up good, and everybody out there is holding up good. But it's real, man. Take the precautions, wear the mask, wash your hands, do all that stuff they say do.
Yeah, and speaking of, I think there's been some, from the top down, just, misinformation about that, and what to do about that. And I'm really looking forward to a change of guard. So we can.
Man, I can go on and on and on about that, but yeah, I agree with you 100%.
Yeah, respect science, take precautions. All of us want to get out of lockdown and live a form of life, but I think you can't do that fully until we get some kind of lid on this. Even if obviously we can't just get rid of it, but we can mitigate it. If everybody wore masks, everybody did what they're supposed to do, and we can mitigate it and kind of really deal with it from that perspective. And
I agree.
I think and as much as I hated Trump, I feel like if he would have taken a magnanimous approach to it and took the right way, listened to science, from the day one, say, hey, everybody wear your mask, everything else, he could have came out of like a war hero. He was too petty to do it.
I forget who made this quote, who said this quote, but everything rises and falls on leadership. Everything, even COVID. And like you said, if he'd have got out in front of this from the get-go and shown some actual leadership, things would have been a lot better than what they are now.
A lot better. And he would be a lot happier because maybe he wouldn't have to be, making this speech. I know he's dreading making this concession speech. That's probably got to be the worst thing ever.
Yeah, he probably would have got reelected. I mean, it's sad to say, but he probably would have got reelected.
Oh yeah, he's a supreme marketer, but he couldn't market his way past those many deaths, that kind of irresponsibility. You just can't market your way past that.
And then when it came out that he's on camera saying, that it was going to be worse than what it was, and he was trying to,
downplay it anyway. Come on, man. Unreal.
Mm-hmm.
When that came out, that really incensed me, and I'm still so surprised that it went over so many other people's heads. They didn't care in one year, out the other, whatever. To me, it's just blatant disregard just for your fellow man. We're not in some kind of country where we're not supposed to give a shit about our neighbor.
Right.
If I don't want to wear a mask, at least wear one for your neighbor, because you don't know what they're going through. You don't know what kind of health situation might be. Because everybody don't just disclose everything. Exactly. They might not tell you, hey, I have some kind of lung condition. Watch out for me. People don't know that. So you just have to take precautions, at least not for yourself, for somebody else.
Right.
Right. To me, so many people had blatant disregard for that. And not even just that, to the point where they're willing to fight and bring guns just so they can not do it. And come on, man.
I saw the people up in Michigan, carrying on about wearing masks and, getting in the police officer's face and wearing guns and all this, that, and the third. I'm like, man, what are y'all doing? What are you doing? Really? Come on, man.
And his Liberate Michigan tweets, all these just incendiary tweets, it took everything that I appreciated about the presidency out of the presidency. And I had no respect for the office whatsoever. So obviously then, guess what? You don't have any respect for the president. It used to be, hey, it's the president. Nah, you took all of that away.
You're right.
You did it. I didn't do it. You did it. I didn't tweet like a maniac. You did it. I didn't cuss people out. You did it. I didn't, make fun of people. You did it. You did all of that. But it's fake news, right? Okay.
Yeah, fake news. That's right. Fake news.
And I gotta tell you, me. I'm a journalist, and for me, that was one of the biggest things that fucked with me. It pissed me off. The fake news thing. It really pissed me off.
Yeah.
I know so many hardworking and great journalists out here, and the press has been not the enemy of the people, the friend of the people. We wouldn't know about shit if it wasn't the press. They would keep it from us. Everything would be swept under the rug. All these other things. The press has been our friend since day one, and that's why it's in the Constitution. That's why it's in the Constitution. That's why it's protected. Because hey, we need to know. It's
in the bill. Freedom of the press, freedom of speech. It's in there.
No, and the whole fake news thing. It just got to the point, and it was kind of poetic justice. I don't know if you saw the clip. The guy was on. He's in the reporter shot. He's like, this real news. He was like, fuck off.
Fuck off. Yeah, I saw that.
I mean,
I was like, it's about time.
Tired of somebody to go off. Is it real news or fake news? What's real news? Only if it agree with you. So that was something to see.
Yeah.
And I think one of that part, and you and I, and I'm sure you and I can agree on this. Now, I was called the N-word way more during this 4 years than should have been.
Than I ever have been. Yes.
Now, that's enough to piss both of us off. We're both black men. I get it.
Yeah.
Number two, one of the biggest things that pissed me off was to go back to your country. Now, that's a very misplaced thing because you and I are both descendants of slaves. We were misplaced. We don't know. Even if we could go back to a country, where would we go? Africa is not a country. Exactly. It's a continent. It's a continent. So which country am I going to go to? Thanks to you, I have no idea. So that's a very misplaced, racial epithet right there. Misplaced. Now, here's the one that really gets me and really pissed me off. I don't know about you, but as someone who served in this country's military, who put our lives on the line, who picked up an M16 when other people's wouldn't and couldn't and never would, right?
Right.
We put ourselves in danger in foreign areas. We wore that uniform with pride, with honor, and with full recognition and completion of duty. For anybody to tell me to leave my country, right? After I put skin in the game. I put skin in the game.
Yeah.
You did. So many people did not put skin in the game. They want to call themselves a patriot. But did you pick up a weapon and defend its freedoms, the country's freedoms?
That's right.
So for me, we cannot have a debate and then you just tell me to leave the country if you don't like it.
That's right.
The onus is on me and every other American for that matter. I did serve this country's military, but every American has a right to make sure the country upholds its ideals as a country. Every person. It's up to you and it's up to all of us to challenge and make sure this country continues to uphold all of everything that makes this country supposedly beautiful. It's up to us to uphold what that looks like, what that sounds like,
right,
and what that feels like. And for you to tell me to leave it if I don't like it,
country, go back to where you come from. Really?
That's the biggest slap in the face, especially to me and you. And if you go back to, they had to live under 8 years of Obama. Okay. And they complained about it every second. They even complained about a tan suit. But did we ever once tell them to leave the country?
Never.
No. We had those debates. We might have walked away, not liking each other for a while or whatever else. But there was never once a get out of my country. We don't want you here. Right.
Never
go back to your country. All of these things. And that's what really pissed people off. And the fuck your feelings and all of that.
Ooh, yeah,
that pissed people off. And now they want to act like they're the perfect victim.
Exactly.
Oh, they've been persecuted and derided or whatever else. Please take some time and reflect on your part in it.
Yeah.
And your leadership's part in it.
And have several seats while you're doing it.
Multiple seats. an auditorium of seats.
Exactly.
There's a whole lot of seats for you to take right now. So you know, that's where I feel about it. You know, I don't know. Maybe one day we can have conversations, but not right now.
Not right now.
I need some space. I need to be single. I can't be I can't be in a relationship with a Republican right now. I need to be single.
And a brother like me, I'm giving them all the smoke too. They getting all
oh man.
Anyway,
but, you know, we'll see how things shake out, man.
Yeah, we'll see how it shake out.
Yeah. Hey man, you know, I'm glad to have you on. You know, you and I go way back.
Way back.
Way back.
Way back.
We were both wet behind the ears, young bucks. You know, living in our nation's capital. Haynes Point. Ran
nightclub.
Adams Morgan.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, it was quite the time.
I just felt a cold shiver, man. Woo!
Yeah,
good times.
Yeah, we definitely lived it up in DC.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, we did. You know, talk to me. Well, let me start here because you know, all my guests have to start here. When you look back at your life, and you've lived quite a bit of one, and very different facets of one. What would you say is your most rebellious moment?
My most rebellious moment? This is funny. When it was time for me to reenlist in the Army, that was my most rebellious moment. And I'll tell you why. I had some people that I was dealing with who outranked me, and I knew I was smarter than they were. And the things that they would you know, ask us to do things, and in my mind, I'm like, why are you asking us to do? You know, such you know, X, Y, and Z, and this is not going to add up. 2 + 2 does not equal 4 in your scenario. It equals 3 or 5 or something like that. And I knew it was time for me to get out because I was starting to talk back to the officers above me. And I knew if I'd stayed in the military, I was going to get in trouble because I was going to lip off to one of those officers and probably end up taking one out back and, you know, doing the wall-to-wall counseling thing. And at that particular time, I was a Green Beret, young Green Beret, 27 years old. And there's not a lot of black Green Berets in the military. And the Army had invested all this money into my training and, you know, whatnot. And they were kind of grooming me. I'd gone through Safari Tech, you know, Special Forces Armed Resistance, Tactical Extraction course. I'd gone through all these courses, so they were kind of grooming me. And I remember I had to go stand in front of the general and explain to him why I wasn't reenlisting. And also at that time, I remember Sergeant Major Wade Watkins, who had been a Green Beret. He's retired now. He's living in Petersburg, Virginia. Still have contact with him to this day. Great man. But he had been in the military at that particular time, like 33 years. He'd been a Green Beret for like 25 of those 33 years. He physically could not stand up straight. He literally walked with a hunch, leaned over with a hunch. He physically couldn't stand up straight. And those two things right there were the reasons that I gave General Hugh Shelton at Fort Bragg of 18th Airborne Corps the reasons why I wasn't reenlisting. That was the most rebellious time of my life.
Wow.
Yeah.
My story is definitely not as dramatic as yours.
Yeah.
You know, because I you know, all of us have to face that, you know, that big reenlistment question.
Mm-hmm.
How am I going to reenlist? You know, I signed up for 4 years, and when the time came, I was at Fort Myers, Virginia.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember having to make that decision. And for me, it came down to one thing. I had always wanted to go to Japan. And I went in there. And, you know, when you go in there and you kind of know, I don't give a damn, I could stay or go, you got to convince me to stay. It wasn't like a, ooh, please, whatever. You know, it was more the other side of it. I was like, okay, I'm leaving. Right. But if you could do this, okay, I'll think about it. So that was my mindset, you know. So I really had one request. Just one. Mm-hmm. I looked at him, I said, hey, look, if you can get me to Japan, I'll sign your paper right now.
He
type,
couldn't
type,
do
type, 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 type. Couldn't make it happen. I was like, well, I'll be seeing you. And I literally walked up out of there. It's crazy, but you know, there was a little bit more to it. What got me to the point where I just was disillusioned, to be honest, was, you know, I had to go to Operation Restore Hope in Somalia, and I remember
I was over there. I was over there as well. Yeah.
Yeah. I wasn't supposed to be the one that went. A fellow soldier in my group was supposed to go, and they had ample time to get ready, you know, get their affairs in order and all that other stuff. And then something happened at the last minute, and they couldn't go. So whereas they had weeks to prepare, they looked at me and said I had to go, and I had like 2.5 days to do so.
Oh, they like that? Man.
2.5 days to get my affairs in order to go. And I had no say-so in it or whatever else, you know. I remember trying to zip across. I had a brand new puppy I'd gotten. I had to try to find a place for it. Just all kind of crazy stuff, and putting all my stuff in storage. And I remember I got a reckless driving ticket trying to, you know, speed across the DMV area, trying to make these things happen. And I remember the cop saying, "Oh, yeah, I need to take you to jail. This is reckless driving." I pulled out those orders. I said, "Look, sir, this is why I'm speeding around. I'm trying to make these, you know, get my affairs in order because I have to leave." He looked at it, he was like, "Okay."
He knew. Yeah.
So, you know, that really pissed me off. And, you know, at the time, I just started dating this girl, and I had to tell her, I was like, "Hey, you know, we're going to probably break it off or whatever, because I'm going to be gone. I don't know when I'm coming back, or God forbid, if, you know.
If I'm coming back." Yeah, I remember that conversation.
So, you know, I just had to do all these life-changing things in a couple of days, and I had to go. And then while I was over there, that also disillusioned me. I remember I had to stand guard for the Swedish Hospital, and we were at that gate.
I know exactly where you were.
Yeah. And, you know, so, you know, the Swedish Hospital, you would go to the gate, and they would, you know, pick and choose people to come in that needed, you know, medical help.
Needed medical help. That's right.
Now, just like a water faucet, at some point they're going to turn the spigot off and stop the flow of sick people that you can visually see. I'm not blind. I'm looking at people. They literally need help. I'm looking at them. I remember one guy was missing this part of his mouth, and I'm looking at him, and I have to, you know, stand there, remain stoic, and, you know, you have to tell them to leave, and if they don't leave, you know, you have to do some forceful type of things. And for me, I was just like, that messed me up.
I'm getting ready to mess you up even more. I was on a building about 600 meters away, looking at you all through a rifle scope, because we didn't know if they were sending people in through the gate to the hospital. We didn't know. So that was one of the areas that we had to keep sight on target. You know, we had to watch. That. If something would have went down there, you would have been taken care of, trust me, because I wasn't the only one. That was my first assignment on a sniper team in Somalia, in Mogadishu. I know exactly where you were.
Crazy.
Yeah.
And I was there for 18 months. You know, so, you know, this, you didn't even feel clean. You had to go to this tent, this trailer shower, but on your way back, so much sand, you still felt dirty and gritty and you just never felt clean. It was crazy.
No. And to me, I'm particular about my teeth. So, you know, I'll brush my teeth, you know, like 3 times a day, like the dentist says. So I remember being over there, man. I could brush my teeth, you know, rinse my mouth out, whatever. By the time I got back to the hooch, I felt griminess in my mouth. Did you ever feel that?
Every day.
Just the griminess, man.
Just grimy, gritty. And, you know, and sand don't feel good. You know, it's like,
no, it doesn't.
That's the one thing you don't like about the beach, that whole sandy, gritty feeling all day.
Yeah.
You know, I felt it for 18 months. It was just crazy.
Yeah, you were over there longer than I was, because I was over there during the combat portion, and right after that, they rotated us out.
Crazy. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And that just kind of, I don't know, to me, I was just very disillusioned after that. So it was, that was the wrong time to come to me talking about Reenlisted. They should have waited. I was like, nah, bro. And I got myself out, and I took my ass to Bowie State University and started going to college.
I hear you. Good stuff.
But, so, both of us, we got up out of the military. So, you found yourself, where you are today. But what was your journey like in the, professional corporate world, or whatever you want to call it? What was your beginnings at that point?
Well, when I left the military, I finished college at UNC Greensboro in North Carolina, and started working for Jefferson Pilot Financial. I wanted to be a stockbroker. So, I passed the Series 7 exam, General Securities Representative, in 63, 65. So I was a registered investment advisor. And so I was doing that. I did that for 3 years. And I looked at three computer screens all day. And I would leave the office some days, man, and I would be punch drunk because I was looking at red and green squiggly lines all day long. So that was my journey into the financial services sector. I left there, went to work for a company called Tom James Company, selling custom clothing, wearing $2,000, $2,500 suits, custom suits. So I have a great wardrobe still to this day because they're all custom. The clothes fit me to 10 years later, they still fit and are in excellent shape. So I did that for a while, transitioned from that when they cut our commissions, and which was never fun. They lost a lot of sales reps when they did that. So I was working for a company called Timbar, and we did floor displays in Walmart. So when you go to Walmart and you see the floor displays, we were the company that designed those floor displays for all the materials that Walmart was putting out there. But and then Black Friday happened. So I don't know if you remember Black Friday 2000. I think it was 2007, 2008, if I remember January. It's where like 800,000 people across the country got laid off. I was one of those people. So I went from $176,000 a year to zero. They didn't give us a severance package, nothing. So I remember at the time, my wife, I remember telling her, I just got laid off, and she said, "Are you okay?" And I was like, "Yeah, I'm on the way home." It was 85 miles from the company headquarters where I was to my garage. I couldn't tell you anything about the drive. I couldn't tell if there was traffic on the highways. I couldn't tell if the weather, nothing. I was just in a fog. I remember leaving that parking lot and backing into my garage. And when I sobered up, I told my wife I was not going to draw unemployment. I was going to find something that was mine, that no one could ever take away from me. And 2 days later, I found the credit card processing industry, and the rest, as they say, is history.
So what was about it, and can you explain kind of exactly what that is, what credit card processing is?
Well, the credit card processing industry is this, in a nutshell. Whenever you go somewhere and you buy a service or a product and you pay them with their credit card, they have to run that transaction through a machine. Well, I'm one of the guys who signs that business up for the processing service via the machine. I program the machine, send the machine, out there, install the machine at the business. So every time a card goes through that machine, I get a percentage. And that's the credit card processing industry in a nutshell.
Wow. Okay. So I'm imagining you hearing this and the wheels turning, when you first heard about it, you're like, okay, is that real? Is that fake? Can I really get paid when somebody pay other people?
Exactly.
Walk me through your mindset, your process of saying, okay, yes, that's something I'm going to do.
Well, my process was this. Okay. So I can sign up an account, get a commission up front, and then every month I get a percentage of the credit card payments that go through that terminal. As long as I have the account, that means if I give good customer service, the account is not going to go anywhere. I was like, yeah, sign me up. An upfront commission, then money for nothing. Basically, you're you're getting residual, and everyone, I assume everyone knows about residual. So you sign the account up one time, you get paid an initial upfront, and then you get paid consistently every month as long as you have the account. I'll take that any day of the week. And then you just build an account. The way my mindset worked at that particular time, because I'm just straight business, I looked at it like this. All of the people that I signed up for service, they were my employees. All those terminals were my employees. So I had to make sure that my employees, those terminals, were in good working order in all of those places that I signed up. Because as long as my employees were working, I was getting paid. And that's how I looked at it.
So talk to me about the quote unquote scary part. A lot of people, they may have business ideas or they may have opportunities, and there's a scary part about quote unquote stepping out on your own. Mm-hmm. And it definitely sounds scary to have to walk into a business cold and say, hey, I know you have something that you're using. What about me? You know, mm-hmm. all these type of things. How did you get over those hurdles? And how long was it before you started feeling success? And what does success look like?
Okay, I'll just give you my story in a nutshell. But first, I want to go back. The first hurdle is getting out there knowing if you don't sell, you don't make money. Once you get past that mindset of, okay, I've got to get out here and hunt. If I don't kill, just, vernacular, if I don't kill, I don't eat. That's the first hurdle. The second hurdle is knowing that you've got to go out and quote unquote knock on doors, introduce yourself to people, get out of your comfort zone to make it happen. Now, for me, at that particular time, you got to remember, I had just gotten laid off from a job. I had a wife. I had a daughter with my ex-wife. I had a son on the way with my wife at the time. And I had to make it happen. My wife was on bed rest. She couldn't work. She couldn't walk or she was going to lose the baby. She had preeclampsia really, really bad. So it was just up to me. I had to make it happen. So I would get up in the morning, man, at 7:30, get cleaned up, hit the door. I would work till 4:30, 5 o'clock, literally knocking on doors, running sales appointments every day. When my son was born, I would get up. Once, we found him in daycare. It's probably started going to daycare, 7 months. I'll get him dressed, take him to daycare, come back home, take my wife to work all day, which is sidebar. I had to let 2 cars go back. I'm man enough to say that. I had to let 2 cars go back, repossessed. I was losing everything because I was just lost it all. Bought a car. We had one vehicle for 2 years. And I would do this routine every day. I would get up, take my son to daycare, come back, take my wife to work all day long, pick my son up from daycare, take care of him, do what I had to do with him, put him in the car seat, go pick my wife up from work, come home every day, every working day for 2 years while I built my business. During that time, I started landing accounts. And then at the end of that 2 years, I told my wife she didn't have to work anymore. Because I was making a lot of money at the end of those 2 years. Let's just say that. And my wife didn't have to work anymore. Landed some national accounts. It's funny. My son's daycare at the time, Sunshine House Daycare Centers. Give them a little plug when you rebel with applause, without applause. Mm-hmm. Their credit card machine was down one day when I went in to pay daycare, and it just led to a conversation. And I ended up, Sunshine House was at that particular time the 6th largest daycare chain in the country. I ended up landing that account, and that one account, Sunshine House, paid me about $17,000 a month. A month.
Nice.
Yes, a month. And that was one of the accounts that I landed during those 2 years, where I eventually told my wife she didn't have to work. Then I landed, I don't know if anyone is familiar with Harris Teeter grocery stores. I landed Harris Teeter grocery stores. That account was huge. Just imagine all the volume that goes through a grocery store. And this was, Harris Teeter was one of the biggest grocery stores in the country. So I landed that account. Then I landed Volvo heavy equipment, like the Volvo cars. They have another division that does the buses, the earth moving equipment, tractor trailers, all that stuff. So I landed that account. That was a $195 million a year account. That account paid me almost $60,000 a month. The credit card processing industry it's an unknown industry. It's tough to get started. It's super tough to get started. I'm not going to lie. It's super tough because you have to break through some mental barriers. But if you go through those mental barriers and you just keep putting, left foot in front of right foot and pressing forward and just doing the deal every single day, you'll be successful. I've been in the game. This is July 7th of this year will be 15 years. I've been in the credit card processing industry, and I freaking love it. Going on 15 years, yeah.
So I imagine, through your time doing it, you probably didn't see a lot of people that look like you doing it.
Nope.
Right? Why do you think that is?
It's unknown and it's different. We are programmed, and when I say we, I mean we are programmed to work for someone, to get up in the morning, punch in on somebody's clock, do you do, go to lunch, come back, do you do, and go home. That's the way we're programmed. It's not just us, it's society in general. You have to go back, to the Industrial Revolutions. That's what schools are set up for. Schools aren't made to produce entrepreneurs. Schools are made to produce factory workers. You get up, you go to school all day, you get out of school, you come home. Same thing you do with the factory. Well, having an entrepreneurial mindset is just totally different. It's just because you're on stage 24/7, basically. I've had restaurants and bars call me at 2:00 in the morning having an issue with the machine. I've gotten up and gone downtown Charlotte at the time, gone to the bar and helped them reconcile. It's just an entrepreneurial mindset. That goes a long way to keep that customer as well, especially when you teach them what the issue was and show them how to rectify it next time it happens, if it does happen again. So it's just it's just changing the mindset, and it's hard to do. A lot of people can't do it. I've seen a lot of people start out, I want to do what you do. Let me do what you do. I'll do what you do. And I'll show them what to do. I'll tell them what to do. I'll show them what to do. I'll go out there with them while they're doing it and give them pointers on how to do it. But I'm going to tell you, man, 75% of the people just can't get the mindset of going out without any security and working and hunting and making their own way. They want the comfort of a paycheck. And as far as creating their own paycheck, they just don't do it. They just can't grasp that concept.
Wow. So I imagine, obviously things were one way before no one saw this coming, and we still don't really know how life is going to land afterwards, because we're still going through it. How has it affected, your industry and kind of what you're doing to get through it, and what do you see on the other side of it?
Okay. Well, initially, we took a big hit. Profits were down in the industry. So I'm executive vice president of a company, and I see the numbers. The profits were down initially, and a lot of people, wigged out and said, "Oh, what are we going to do? What are we going to do?" And the processing companies who were forward thinking have come out ahead. I know of 6 processing companies that have gone out of business during COVID. Our company has picked up 2 of those companies. We basically bought their portfolios and are servicing all of their accounts. And our office here in Jacksonville, Florida is expanding. We're actually hiring 7 people this week, starting tomorrow. 7 people start work for our new company tomorrow. We're growing so much. But one of the things we did was the no fee, no touch, because all the terminals now have near field communication, to where if you have your card and your card has the chip on it, and on the back of it, if it has NFC or another little slogan I can't remember off the top of my head, I'm having a brain cramp right now, but you can just take your card and wave it near the credit card processing terminal and make payments. So we jumped on that bandwagon and just made all of our customers aware that every terminal that we have out there that they already have, they have that capability. So they really didn't miss a beat as far as the processing goes, as far as the COVID and all that stuff. Once we got adjusted to the COVID, let me say that everyone's profits went down across the board. If someone tells you their profits didn't go down across the board, they're lying. Everyone's profits went down. But once we got accustomed to the new landscape, and we were forward thinking with the near field communication and Apple Pay and Samsung Pay and all that other good stuff, and made our merchants aware that they had that capability, they've been rocking and rolling to the point. Some of our merchants are expanding. And one other thing we did was we had an order anywhere software that we had been playing around with, but had put on the back burner. And then when COVID came out, we went ahead and launched that. So we signed up restaurants to where we would do all their website. We would do a website for them, a mobile app to where they could push it to their customers already, to where they could order online and come and pick up, or they could marry it with a delivery service and have it delivered to the customer. And man, I'll tell you this, we have a gentleman in New Jersey. All he did during COVID was go to restaurants and sell order anywhere. His residuals would increase at a minimum of $3,000 per month from like May, June, July, and August. All he did was order anywhere. It was amazing. We would sit and look at the numbers, and we would call him and say, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" He's like, "Man, all I do is go out and talk to restaurants. I wear my mask. I wear my glove when I go and talk to them, and I just tell them, say, hey, order anywhere," because restaurants lost seating capacity. You couldn't go out to eat anymore, so everything was people were calling in, and this just made it another avenue for them to generate revenue for the restaurants, and they loved it. He made a killing.
Yeah, I could really see that one because I don't go to restaurants anymore.
Yeah,
I do curbside, and I had to graduate to curbside. That's my graduation. I started out, you got to bring it here. I'm not going anywhere. So curbside is a huge, movement for me. Just to even get out there and go, quote unquote, see somebody face to face and get something. So I've had to work on that. I can see, that's the thing about it. I think one of the most important words to come out of COVID is pivot. If you are a business or whatever you do, and you have not learned to pivot, you failed.
Yeah.
And I believe all the companies that were not able to pivot, they failed. And I think that applies to every facet of life. It all comes down to pivoting or evolution, whatever you want to call it. When you're able to pivot and adapt to your new surroundings and still push forward, you're going to find success, and that's whatever you do.
Yep. I'm glad you mentioned the word pivot, because we had a conversation at the office the other day about the next quote unquote pivot in our industry, and it's technology based. We are a big PAX company, Bryte Payment Solutions. We use a lot of PAX terminals, and we have jumped on board with the PAX store. So all of our terminals' serial numbers are registered with the PAX store. Where in the old days as a credit card agent, if you placed a terminal, if you had to do an update on that terminal, you would have to physically go to the merchant's location and dial in and do the download there. Take 15, 20 minutes to do the download. Well, now with the PAX store, let's say Maurice's hat shop, just an example. You have one of our terminals, and we have to do an update to your terminal. All we have to do is pull up your serial number, put your serial number in the PAX store, do the update in the PAX store, and then that automatically pushes to your terminal, to where the agent doesn't physically have to go out there. It's automatic, and your terminal is updated. That is going to revolutionize our industry. With the iOS and the Android software, just to be able to do that. It's going to cut down a lot of drive time, a lot of customer service issues, because if a customer calls in and needs to make a change on something, is looking for something, all we have to do is go into the PAX store, and it's done immediately. It's just going to cut down all those waiting times, and it's going to revolutionize our industry.
So, with everything that you've had to, all these, hurdles that you've had to clear, this year alone, what have you learned about yourself, and what have you learned about, I guess, overall from a personal standpoint and a professional standpoint?
From a personal standpoint, this year I have learned to be really more patient. Because I'm, doing what I did in the military. I'm an impatient guy. I want it now. Let's make it happen. Boom, boom, boom. Let's go. With COVID has forced me to sit down and be still, number one, because I'm a busybody. So the patience thing, number one. And number two, on the professional side, I'm going to echo that as well, being patient. Because I was doing some agent management, and some of the agents were not receptive to getting out and making it happen. They were sitting on their laurels, so to speak, and not doing anything. And that's one of the things. I shouldn't have to call you and beg you to go out and go to work. I shouldn't have to do that. You should have to want it for yourself and for your business and for your family. And I had an issue with a couple of agents who weren't doing it. And, they were great agents, been agents for years, but they just weren't doing anything. And yeah, they get residuals and they had a lot of residuals, but when their residuals went down, then they would call and say, hey, what can we do? And then can you buy out our book of business? No, we're not buying out your book of business during this time frame. We're not doing that. You need to get out and go to work, man. Make some phone calls, do some customer service issues. So I had to learn patience, both personally and professionally this year. That's one of the things that I can say 2020, if there was a silver lining to 2020, that's it. It taught me patience.
Well, I think a lot of people will probably echo, your lessons. For me, I've always kind of called it the big pause.
Oh yeah.
To kind of describe it visually, I feel like all of us were on this high-speed highway, like the Autobahn, right? With no exits, just going 100 miles an hour. And this was one of those things where we all had to forcibly get off the freeway. And we were stuck in gridlock, and we have to really stop, assess, reassess, kind of look at what you're doing, look at what you're not doing, and really be honest. I think that's why things were different with George Floyd. Obviously, things like that happened quite a bit, way time that should have. But the fact that all of us were stopped, we had nothing else to look at. You had to see it. There was no way around it, and you were like, "Wow, it was horrifying." And I think those were turning points in a lot of ways. And then everybody's had different turning points, whether they lost someone or someone got sick or they lost a job, just all these things, all these turning points. And you really kind of find out who you are. Are you strong? Do you have strength? Do you have people that support you? Can you support someone? Can you understand other people? Just all of these things that we have been forced to sit down and be faced with. And I think, there's obviously a lot of bad, but I think, like you said, it's going to be a lot of good to come out of it. You can't lose sight of that. And, for me, one of my things was starting this podcast, something I always wanted to do. It's always something kind of, it's a passion project, obviously. But, like they say, you're doing something you love. It's not a job,
That's right. And who knows where this could go, man. You could get picked up and we could be watching this on, television for real one day.
Yeah, and I enjoy it, and I enjoy telling people stories, connecting with people. That's one of the things that I hated being a writer, is you had to pitch a story and it was up to someone else to tell you what story was worth telling. And for me, I've been around a long time. Everybody has an interesting story. But if you don't know that, or you don't give people a chance, you'll never know. And one of my biggest things about learning is you learn from experience, and it doesn't have to be your experience; it can be other people's experience. And that's what people don't do. They don't. That's why I love older people. They have such an array of experience, but people don't listen to them anymore. That's so much knowledge. I mean, it's crazy.
You know what? It's funny. You mentioned that. and this is just a little aside here. We were talking about that the other day. Not to get religious or anything, but the Bible says, "Honor your mother and father in your days, so that all your days will be long and fruitful." That may not be correct, but you get the gist of it. But when it talks about honoring your mother and father, it doesn't mean about in the respect thing. It means you have to do the etymology of the word honor from the time that the Bible was written. And what that means is listening to their wisdom, that the wisdom that they have, and applying that wisdom to your daily life so that your life can be better because of your parents. And what you just said, listening to the older people, that's basically all that is. You're giving honor where honor is due, honoring, quote unquote, mother and father, the older people, even though there may not be blood mother and father, but you get the gist of what I'm saying. And that's where true wisdom comes, when you can learn from others' mistakes and others' experiences and apply that to your life and to your daily living. Brother, that's nothing but wisdom right there. So kudos to you.
And, kind of that's what really pissed me off the most about this idea of sacrificing our older people
Mm-hmm.
time. That really pissed me off because, I honor my elders. I respect my elders. I value everything that they've done for us. And, the examples they've set. And I cannot sacrifice them. I'm sorry. That's not happening on my watch.
I couldn't believe that was even said, truth be told, but that Trump thing, that's something else, man. Anyway.
Yeah, there's just so many layers, and and you have to at least respect the fact that there were enough of us to say enough is enough.
Right, enough's enough.
Enough's enough. Let's press the reset button, and let's see where else we could go. We already went down this street. It was a horror show. Let's cut that off. Let's turn on another show. Let's see how this one plays out.
For real.
I got tired of that movie.
Yes, sir.
Show. So let's kind of see where things go, man. But it's been a huge pleasure having you on. You and I go way back. But there's still a lot of things that I didn't even know. I'm glad you were able to share your story. Our rebels out here. I really appreciate them for rocking out with us. For those out here, getting a chance to watch this, make sure you smash that like button and subscribe to the podcast if you like it, because I'll be dropping new episodes each and every Thursday. You can tap in on YouTube, Apple, Spotify, or wherever you like to catch your favorite podcast, because we'll keep on bringing interesting stories to you. So for my special guest, Mr. Eric Bostic, and myself, take every day to learn, grow, and work, because there is no other option. And until next time, please stay rebellious.
Thanks for having me, brother.